If you would like to master your destiny, you must first master yourself. That sentence stuck with me because I realized that over the last 20 years, that has been the job I had to do to become the person I am today. When I was 12 years old, I started in a new school, where I was bullied not only by 2 classmates, but also from one of my teachers. I was really on my own, and for several months, I couldn't really see the light. I was depressed, but somehow, something clicked in me, and I knew that life couldn't just be what I was experiencing back then. The way that we think can be incredibly powerful, so instead of letting those negative thoughts drag me down, I chose to focus on the positive one, and unconsciously my mindset started to change. My focus was no longer in what was happening around me, but in what I wanted to achieve, and what needed to change in me and around me in order to get to my goal. So in this video, I want to explore 5 different habits that I have adopted over the years for a healthier and happier mindset. When you feel content, you are satisfied and happy with what you have in the present moment. You are in a state of peaceful happiness. For me, being able to wake up, open the doors of our home, watch the sun rising over the horizon, and harvest fresh vegetables from my garden is something I will be forever grateful to be experiencing in this lifetime. But so I was when I first arrived here 3 years ago, and none of this existed. The thing is that when we moved here, we didn't even own the land yet. We asked the owners if we could bring all of what we had and start working on it while all the paperwork was finished and fully signed from both parties. We drove in a very hot day of August. It was around 8 hours of drive. I was really exhausted, but when we arrived to what was eventually become our home, park both cars and stand here, I felt incredibly grateful to life. I remember vividly the feeling of freedom and how grateful I was for having the opportunity to be here to create a life we dreamed for so long. In our first walks with Aspen around the town, we were extremely positive at things. Everything we discovered, everyone we met, we thought about how lucky we were to have landed in such a beautiful place. Now looking back, sometimes we were kind of tricking our minds, choosing to put our focus all in the positive side of things, rather than in all the challenges that we eventually had to face in order to own the land and build our home here. But it worked. Being fully satisfied didn't mean that we didn't want to transform this place or change anything around us. For us, it was a mindset that helped us get through all the challenges without forgetting to be grateful for the opportunity of doing so. Self-care is the key to achieving a lifelong health in body, mind, and spirit. By trying to make self-care a purpose that you attend to each and every day, we show up to ourselves, and that act of self-love is a message we send to ourselves every day. Staying physically active, eating nutritious food, having my own time to learn and create new things, and practicing mindfulness are my top priorities when it comes to self-care. For me, exercising has been an important part of my life since I was a child, not because I was into competitive sports or because I was really good at one, but because mentally it was, and it still is, a way for me to disconnect and gain perspective, which has helped me to process and release emotions. Food is what nourishes our body, and without a healthy and nourished body, we can't have a healthy and well-functioning mind. Or at least, we are making it harder to our mind to feel better when we physically feel sick most of the time. Back in my university years as a medical student, I learned the importance that lifestyle mindset and food played in our overall health. I myself was able to experience a change in a matter of days when I discovered that a hidden gluten allergy was causing all of my health issues since I was a child. So this is a topic that I have been really passionate about ever since. I will say that by now most of us know how important food and an active lifestyle is to overall health. We try to eat healthy and exercise as much as we can, but we don't always apply that same level of care to our mental health or to our psychological wounds. Over the years, I have learned more about those psychological wounds and old patterns, which has helped me a lot to understand better myself and my own individual needs when I face difficult situations, for example. I believe that talking with a professional can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way and help you achieve your best life. So that's why I'm really excited for today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you are limited to the options that are in your area or you have to commute a long distance to visit one. If you feel like you are dealing with anxiety, overwhelm, depression, or maybe you are just feeling stressed and would like to talk to someone that's not your family or a friend, BetterHelp can be a support. They make finding a therapist really easy because it is online. You will start by filling out a questionnaire just to assess what your specific needs are. And once that you have filled out the questionnaire, in as little as a few days, you are going to be matched with a therapist, which is amazing because from the comforts of your own home, you can already schedule a video or a phone call with your therapist, or you can exchange an unlimited number of messages. It is really easy to sign up and get started. There is a link in my description, betterhelp.com/Eugenia Diaz. By clicking that link, you will get a 10% off your first month with BetterHelp, so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. And because the most important part of therapy is making sure that you click with your therapist, if after one session you feel that you just don't fit with the therapist that you have been paired with, you can request a change of therapist as many times as you would like until you find one that you do actually click with, and all of this at no extra cost. Having now as an adult the resources to better understand myself and having the tools to manage difficult situations has given me a different perspective about life, and it is something that I wish I had access to early in life. So if you are struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Eugenia Diaz. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel. Let's say I go back to my garden right now, and all I can see are the weeds that have outgrown, all the vegetables that I have to harvest and preserve before they go bad, or all the work that I have to do to keep everything tidy and clean. Or I could choose to step into the garden and appreciate the beauty of the new flowers in bloom, the abundance of tomatoes that I can enjoy whenever I want, and the peaceful sounds of the singing birds. The thing is that the reality is exactly the same one. The only difference is how I choose to see it and my response to it. And based on that, I could feel extremely overwhelmed and anxious by the amount of work I need to do, or extremely grateful for the amount of beauty around me. When I was back in university, one of the assignments we had to do in our medical ethics class was to read one of Viktor Frankl's books. Reading the memoir of the Austrian psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust gave me a new perspective about how I was experiencing life back then. Quoting from his book, "Forces beyond your control can take away everything you possess, except one thing, your freedom to choose how you will respond to the situation." I'm often messaged and emailed by people asking me to give them inspiration and advice about how we have been able to do what we have done over the past years since we moved here. Our experience of buying land, moving to a new country, and building everything from scratch by ourselves. And I would say that although we came with a dream of transforming this place into the project that we envision, when things go wrong, you have to remind yourself of the obvious. Life is not always fair. Stress will happen and things will go wrong. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can start moving forward. This comes really handy when building your own house like we are doing, which is a complex and a physically and mentally demanding job, especially when you want things to be done almost perfect, and also dealing with deadlines, work, and exposed to the harsh weather. And so the first step is acceptance, because when you start with what's in front of you and stop fighting it, you can start to work with it and then see what can be done to solve it. Instead of focusing on what is happening right now is not what you were expecting, by accepting it, we allow ourselves to move forward and straight into a plan of action. And like the psychiatrist Steve Peters explained, when we don't react to the difficulties and we choose to respond to them, instead of having an emotional reaction, we now have a response, which is accepting what's in front of us and then following through with the plan. This doesn't mean that you need to suppress frustration, pain or sadness, which is not a healthy thing to do either. It means that after you release and process your emotions associated with the situation and accept it, then you move forward. And in my experience, the more that you train this habit, the quicker you are able to release, process and move forward. This will allow you not to quit after trying once and failing, and sets you in a mindset of how can I make it happen regardless, and take action in all the things of what you can control. If there is an advice I will give to my younger self earlier, it will be definitely this one. I can say that I pretty much follow my heart when it came to big life decisions, without hearing anyone else's opinion, like what to study when I finish high school, or moving overseas to pursue a childhood dream, and later quitting my career to become an entrepreneur. But I would be lying if at times I didn't get caught doubting myself and letting some of those opinions making me nervous about it. The thing is, we live in a world where people around us feel like they need to give their opinion about our own life decisions. But the truth is that most of those opinions come from their personal experience and conditioning. An example was when I first decided to quit my medical career to become an entrepreneur. I remember telling people around me and seeing everybody panicking. They couldn't understand why I didn't choose a career that in the short run would give me a sense of security, status, and a good income. Most of the people thought I was making a mistake and would fail. But the brand that we started from a couple of handmade items in our small studio eventually got attention from the press and stores, and in a matter of a couple of years, we were selling worldwide in boutiques and retail stores among the top luxury fashion brands we one day looked up to. And the same happened when we decided to close it all to move here and start anew. When someone comes to me with self-doubt or self-consciousness, my question is the same. Who cares? Who cares what others think of us? We need to be happy with the life we choose to live, and most importantly, with who we are, with our uniqueness, because the truth is, there is nobody like you. Then, why should you care about someone else's opinion or approval? Didn't we come to this life in our own terms? As far as we don't hurt anyone in the process, I know that we definitely didn't come to please others, let alone give the power of choice to others based in their pessimism or negativity, which ultimately is a reflection of how they see themselves. At the end of the day, I want to look back and be proud of having chosen my own path, living a life that's true to myself and not someone else's conditioning.